How are you doing today, my lazies? Today I'm doing a special segment on the special elite squads in Naruto. We've heard of them, but do we truly know what they are? I'll be going over their ranking, status, scaling, and more. This is going to be a fun one to talk about, so I hope you're ready. And with that being said, starting off the list, we have one of my favorite squads, the Kinkaku Force. This team hails from the Hidden Cloud and specializes in Gale Style or Storm Release. They have the Black Lightning seal etched onto their shoulders and are the closest in power to their Raikage. Only a Cloud Ninja that can contend with this squad would even be considered for the position of Raikage or Kage Guard. This entire squad is filled with nothing but S-rank ninja on the level of the mid to upper ranks of the Akatsuki. The most notable members are Kinkaku and Ginkaku, who were strong enough to stalemate Tobirama and the second Raikage simultaneously as they possess pseudo-Kyuubi cloaks, a notion perfected for the one used in the Land of Fire. Unlike the Land of Fire collecting lingering Kyuubi chakra for a pseudo-Kyuubi boost that runs out of power eventually, Kinkaku and Ginkaku ate the insides of Kurama to absorb a large amount of the chakra, and they can maintain it even after being revived. Another noteworthy member is Dadoi, the right hand of Raikage A, who not only mastered the Black Lightning Gale style, but is comparable to Kakashi Hatake, who is considered an Autonin level ninja comparable to the Sannin. In fact, Dadoi was the closest to the Raikage in strength and status, as he was chosen to replace him in Boruto. He was also strong enough to take on both Kinkaku and Ginkaku in base together, let alone take on one of them while transformed and be able to use the Six Paths tools more than once. This unit is nothing to scoff at, as they are all in the realm of Sannin and above Autonin level ninja. This might just be the most powerful elite village squad, as they were so powerful that the Cloud could never use the Akatsuki for military gain, unlike the other villages, and there was never a Cloud defector in the Akatsuki. That makes most of the people in this group Kage level threats, as they had S rank bounties. Next on the list is probably the most popular of the elite squads, and that's the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. Now, there have been several iterations of this squad, with the weakest being the Boruto variant. This squad uses specialized blades used for assassinations and espionage. This squad, like the other elite squads, are all Autonin level ninja comparable in strength to their Mizukage. Hence why Chojuro was Mei's Kage Guard and took over for her after her reign, which I find completely abrupt considering she barely held the position and was very young, but I digress. The power of this elite squad shows that the Mizukage has to be the weakest Kage, considering all of these ninja are A-rank bounties, with the exception of Kisame, who is the only one to reach S rank due to the Akatsuki. And before someone tries to refute, Juzo was the original wielder of the Executioner's Blade and Itachi's original partner in the Akatsuki, yet he was weaker than Zabuza, but still able to compete with version 2 Jinchuriki Yagura, the Mizukage of the Blood Mist era. Now, I don't want to downplay this squad and say they're weak, but definitely the least impressive elite squad on the list, even though they are arguably the most dangerous due to their terrain and choice of skill with assassination tactics and espionage. They are easily the most skilled, just not the most powerful. Now, next on the list is a unit that is more impressive than the Swordsmen and the Leaf Anbu, as they are truly the closest and sometimes more powerful to the Mizukage. Their primary function is intel nullification. But there's also a special unit within this unit that are tasked with exterminating and taming the Six Tails, Seiken, and their Jinchuriki if necessary. This means that this unit as a whole is powerful enough to exterminate the perfect Jinchuriki Mizukage if necessary, which is more impressive than the swordsmen who barely contended or are barely more powerful than their Kage, save for Kisame. The fact that this unit has people on Haku's level and above says a lot. The sheer amount of Kekkei Genkai in the mist more than likely is concentrated in this unit. For these ninja to even be able to take on a Six-Tails Jinchuriki who was powerful enough to tank a nuke says a lot about their individual power. At least the unit tasked with guarding Utakata. That means this unit has people more powerful than most Kage, which would make sense as to why Haku could contend with Arunin and why Zabuza was so confident he could beat the Mizukage with Haku. This is truly an impressive unit with crazy lore and shadow feats. Moving on to the weakest village as far as economy, we get the Puppet Brigade of the Hidden Sand. Now this squad is low-key more powerful than Shippuden gave them credit. The most notable members are Chiyo, Ebizo, Sasori, Kankuro, and Sasori's parents. These members have to be the least comparable to their Kage, but are still extremely dangerous as they can and have taken on powerful threats that would be considered S+ in ranking. Starting with the least impressive, we have Ebizo, who is a master strategist only second to Shikaku of the Hidden Leaf before his health started to wane. Above him is his sister Lady Chiyo, who, still in her old age, was able to compete with her Akatsuki grandson and in her prime was a rival to Tsunade of the Sani with poisons that were comparable to Hanzo of the Salamander. Think of that resume. Then think about me saying she's one of the least impressive members. There are more that aren't as impressive as her as they aren't named, but they had to be close enough to her level for the Kazekage Council to deploy them instead of her in her old age before she took the job. I'm not even mentioning the fact that she was trying to unalive the Silver Fang, who was stated by Minato to be stronger than the Sannin put together, which makes him a Hanzo and Hiruzen level threat in their prime. She's not near that level, but she is dangerous enough to compete with people of that caliber even in her old age. Above her, by a slightly significant margin, is her grandson, Sasori of the Red Sand. The fact that he has a moniker unlike the rest of the Puppet Brigade says a lot, because anyone with a moniker, i.e. Yellow Flash, Copy Ninja, the Salamander, Sannin, etc., are officially categorized as Arunin or Kage level candidates. He was powerful enough to destroy an entire nation with his puppet army, and he's still not the most impressive of the brigade. He was powerful enough to beat and transform the third Kazekage into a puppet, who is also known as the strongest Kazekage before Gaara. Slightly more impressive than him is his parents that fight the Silver Fang to a standstill, but he actually kills them, which seems less impressive, but the fact that they could even compete with the Silver Fang and are Sasori's strongest puppets says a lot about them as ninja. The fact that they would be deployed over Lady Chiyo to take on the Silver Fang is a feat in itself, considering he was considered a S-rank threat and he had a moniker. The most impressive of the brigade, though, is none other than the Kazekage's brother himself, Kankuro. The fact that he was even able to compete with the Hiruko puppet is impressive in itself, even though he got folded pretty badly by the unknown poison in the war. To be able to control the Sasori puppet to such a degree that he could overpower the real Sasori was extremely impressive, considering the gap in their skills and power when they first met and how badly he beat a Kage level Akatsuki Arunin, however nerfed by the Edo Tensei. Again, this squad is significantly weaker than their Kage and doesn't even compare, yet they still have the power to compete with other Kage level opponents. Now this squad from the Hidden Sand isn't too noteworthy, but they do have some impressive feats. The only named member is Tamari, the Kazekage's sister. Her most impressive feat is blasting Madara back with a wave of her fan when an entire army squadron was getting folded so bad they hadn't even landed a hit on him in a jumping. She is comparable to Shikamaru Nara, her husband and rival, who is now a Kage and had been pulling Kage level feats like his defeat of Hidan, who may or may not have soloed Yugito Ni, the Two Tails of the Hidden Cloud, who is comparable to the Kinkaku Force members as she was a perfect Jinchuriki. Other than her though, the rest of her squad is pretty much unnamed, save the girls of the Gaara training squad from his Jonin arc. No one else in this squad has done anything comparably impressive or even comparable to the Puppet Brigade. But the fact they have more members joining the squad in the sand says a lot about their notoriety. Not exactly the weakest elite unit, but the most featless and loreless. It's speculated that the Sealing Corps of the Sand are a team within this unit, so if that's true, then Pakura would be the most impressive member as she's the only one with a Kekkei Genkai, the Scorch release. And she was renowned as a sand hero with a moniker to boot. The Explosion Corps actually had extremely impressive members. If there's one thing the Stone gets right, it's their military might. The sheer number of soldiers and quality of their special unit makes them a force to be reckoned with. Every member of this unit is automatically Kage level and Arunin. The Sasuke Gaiden novels and episodes show that Kekkei Genkai wielders are extremely powerful, especially those with elemental fusions, hence why people like Haku and Kimimaro were able to compete with Kage level opponents. Explosive Release is a combination of earth and lightning, and it's well known that the Stone dabble in elemental fusion tactics, as seen with them being the only nation with a Kekkei Tota and multiple Kekkei Genkai. This unit has to be one of the most impressive, as they're not only comparable to their Tsuchikage, they're more powerful than the Leaf Anbu, as they're used as Kage guards for Kurotsuchi. Deidara is a powerful example of how impressive this group is, as he's the most talented, but members like Gari are not that far behind him, and he was Onoki's first choice to succeed him over his own grandchildren that he used as Kage guards. Keep in mind that Onoki has one of the most broken jutsu in the series with his particle style. The fact that the other members are comparable to Gari, who is comparable to Deidara of the Akatsuki, who's taken down a full Jinchuriki and Biju on separate occasions, is more than impressive for this unit. The fact that Onoki was the most powerful Kage in the Fourth War that wasn't reanimated says a lot about this unit to be strong enough to compete with him. Now this is the unit where you truly see the might of the Hidden Leaf. These ninja range from A to S rank bounties, with most of the S rank bounties KIA. What makes this unit extremely special is the fact that they are ranked above Kage guards and don't protect Kage, but rather Daimyo. That means they are officially the highest ranking unit in the world. Now this unit is usually seen guarding the Land of Fire, but they can be deployed for ally nations to protect their daimyo as well. There's a specific unit in the squadron that has the power to vaporize entire nations. Yep, you heard that right. The Limelight Jutsu was so powerful that it didn't just destroy nations, no, it vaporized them. That's more impressive than Pain's almighty push, as there was literally no way to defend against this jutsu other than exterminating the source. With Edo Tensei, this task would be nearly impossible, as you'd need a seal strong enough to bypass their lightning shroud. One of the monks from this unit was tasked with guarding and exterminating the pseudo Kyuubi Jinchuriki if necessary. He was only given an A-rank bounty, which I find highly criminal considering the other pseudo-Kyuubi Jinchuriki were seen as S-rank. But that just shows how powerful Kinkaku and Ginkaku truly are in their base, despite from A to S in terms of danger level. Keep in mind that it took an Akatsuki member, even though he's the weakest, to take down Asuma Sarutobi, and the only reason he won was lack of information on his ability. That's saying a lot considering how well Asuma performed against the Sound Ninja Jonin, although literally every Leaf Jonin was bullying hordes of these guys. The foundation or root of the Hidden Leaf are some of the most dangerous and possibly the most powerful elite warriors in the Naruto world. Think about the fact that they have ties to Orochimaru and his experiments, they are tied to the black market, and all of them have skills that put the other units, including the Anbu of every village, to shame. Where to even begin with how crazy powerful these guys are? Remember Yamato having wood style? Yeah, that's an orphan that was abducted by Danzo so he could pay to have an experiment from Orochimaru that could tame the Kyuubi. After being trained by Danzo, he was a match for Kakashi and even Danzo's contingency to counter Hiruzen. Now, take that same Yamato that became an Anbu captain after leaving Root, and he's not even a match for Sai, as he has to admit himself, and Sai isn't even a high level member at the time. Keep in mind, Sai was low diff in Kabuto, who was compared to Part 1 Kakashi and Tsunade. He even outright beat Tsunade while holding back after her trying to off him, and Sai low diffed him. He was also the only one that countered Sasuke correctly on the team, including the Anbu captain. That alone shows the gap between the Anbu and Foundation. Keep in mind that the Anbu are the cleaning crew of the ninja world that discard intel and ninja bodies to make sure their abilities can't be stolen. They're stated to be the closest to their Kage in power, yet a low-ranking disposable Root member made an Anbu captain look like a novice multiple times. It's safe to say that everyone in the Foundation is an Arunin level threat that could take out most Kage and nation leaders. Torune was the first ninja, other than Minato, that was able to touch Obito using Kamui, and he was almost comparable to Shino, who at the time was powerful enough to consume a Jubi clone. Fu Yamanaka was his partner and rival, and both of them were powerful enough to be Kage guards. They were so powerful that the other Kage guards were completely outclassed, including Ao, who was the most experienced and carried a Byakugan. These are filled with nothing but S-rank threats at their core, with trainees being significantly above the skill level of the average Jonin, as they partake in the same training as the Blood Mist that made Zabuza an A-rank threat. This elite squadron has to be the absolute most powerful special unit in the Naruto world. Almost as impressive as the Foundation, we have the Akatsuki. No, not those Akatsuki. These Akatsuki. Yeah, the Akatsuki used to be a unit of elite warriors with specific skills that rivaled that of the Kinkaku force. The reason I say rivaled and not exceeded, even though they had tanks like Konan, Nagato, and Yahiko, all of which would become part of the OP terrorist version of this team, is because the Hidden Cloud was still the second best country in political and military might, yet they never used or even barely knew about the Akatsuki. That's saying a lot. The sheer shock on the Raikage's face after learning about the old Akatsuki says so much without actually saying anything. The Kinkaku force is comparable to them, yet his squad was still powerful enough to render the Akatsuki influence mute. Now, just because they rendered their influence mute doesn't mean the squad was weaker than the Kinkaku force, because just like them, this squad was filled with nothing but S-rank ninja from the harshest land in the entire Naruto world. The fact that they were so powerful that their influence wasn't even noticed by the Cloud is a feat in itself, because they got so desperate at one point for military might that they tried to become allies with the Leaf and steal Byakugan. So even though they didn't notice them, They felt that every other great nation was growing in power exponentially without explanation. In fact, this squad was so powerful that the revenue they brought in made the Hidden Reign the most advanced society in the world, like a hidden Wakanda. The world didn't even know Hanzo was KIA for decades, if not several years. One of the greatest spies in the show, Jiraiya, didn't even know how they were advancing or that Hanzo was gone. The same guy that was a Hiruzen level threat. The amount of information this team concealed and gathered made them so dangerous that Hanzo intervened to stop them and still failed. Thanks to Naruto, of course. Now, this isn't exactly a unit, but it's more worth mentioning in this video since it keeps popping up. What exactly is a Kage Guard? Well, besides its obvious name, these are the only candidates that can usurp the Kage title without a Jonin convention. These are usually the most powerful ninja in the village that are the most trusted by the Kage. This is usually, for summit purposes, only a two-man squad of the most elite ninja above even the Anbu that are established Arunin. The only people that can contend with them outside of their Kage is a ninja with a moniker. Kage guards are considered S+ threats within their villages as they are the only ones that can compete with their Kage. The 4th War Summit is the last time we see Kage guards that are truly Arunin level, as the ones in Boruto, well, more on that rant later. Another special unit comes from the mediator group known as the Samurai. They hail from the land of Iron and usually mediate as a neutral party in summit affairs. They're more prominent now, but they're usually isolated from the shinobi world completely. On average, the samurai might just be the weakest group as they perform no better than Chunin level ninja, if not lower. Other than Mifune, they usually get one-shotted by everyone. Mifune was barely even a rival for Hanzo, so we can't even say their upper ranks are within that realm. This unit reminds me of the Anbu, but less impressive as they don't even have special skills or abilities. To wrap this up, it's safe to say that the Leaf has the strongest elite special unit, while the Cloud and Rain come in right behind. No diddy. Special units are just a small snippet of the intricacies of the Naruto world. Even though the world itself isn't physically built up, the world building in this show is beyond elite. The fact that you can see and create so many videos from this series is astonishing. This was one of those videos where I wanted to bring light to that subtle intricacy. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time, stay lazy.